Helena, tell me where you are and what people are actually saying to you.
We're here in Miami, Florida, of course, the state of residence of President Donald Trump. And we're taking the temperature, speaking to voters. How do they feel after those initial first few months back in office? You were just mentioning it's really been a frenetic almost 100 days, particularly when it comes to top voter concerns on the economy, immigration. And where we are exactly is the heart of a place called Little Venezuela in Miami, the heart of the Venezuelan diaspora here. We know, of course, Latino support really key in seeing that surge to victory. 44% of Latino voters nationwide going for Donald Trump, up from 37% some 4 years previously. But of course, people here and at this Venezuelan restaurant where we are right now have seen the scenes when it comes to their top worry, like the economy, tariffs, global market instability, the cost of living as well. But they are also talking about immigration, those mass deportations, the ending of temporary protected status for Venezuelans in this country. Donald Trump saying that it's safe to go back to Venezuela. A lot of people disputing that here. So I sat down with Andres Romero. He is a manager at this restaurant, and I wanted to hear his thoughts on how it's going so far.
100 days are getting there, and
what I will say from that conversation, Matthew, and more generally speaking to people here, is that they will tell you about perhaps voting for Donald Trump. They'll start to go into that conversation. But when you do raise issues like immigration, for example, I think it's fair to say some people do clam up. There's clearly a level of discomfort here at the heart of a community like this one.
Deportations really are a hot topic in the last couple of weeks, but the fundamental driving issue that took Donald Trump to the White House was the economy. Even price of eggs became dominant in the campaign. But when you look at those sorts of basic issues, the prices of things, the tariffs, the impact on jobs, what are people saying about the unease on all of that?
And that's a really important point. Among Latino voters as well, the number one concern was the economy. And of course, you speak to people here of Cuban, Venezuelan, Mexican background. And of course, they're very keen to stress they are not a monolith. They all have different worries, but the economy comes through time and time again. And actually right next to this restaurant where we are right now is an import business bringing over products from Venezuela. And Andres told me, and other people have told me, that they are just particularly worried about running their small businesses. They continue to see the price of goods go up. They haven't yet seen that improvement in the economy that they were looking for. The reason, of course, why they voted, for many of them, for Donald Trump. And certainly that is playing on their minds right now.
Helena, thanks very much. That's Helena Humphrey, live for us there in Miami.
I asked that very question to Santra, actually, Matthew, and she said, where are these people? When you say, if you voted for Donald Trump, how do you feel about it now? She said crickets, radio silence. She hasn't yet said people or met people who are willing to necessarily say that, at least in this community. But what I will say, Matthew, is, of course, Florida is a big state, as is Miami. And when it comes to, for example, Latino communities, Afro-Caribbean communities, by no means a monolith. They've all got different concerns. Venezuelans expressing, for example, this morning, concerns over tariffs, over the economy. But other people, when it comes to these immigration raids, if you compare it to the situation in 2017, you'll remember those ICE immigration raids there. We saw considerable protests here in Miami, in a community not far away from where I am right now, Hialeah, 95% Latino. At a recent town hall, 3 people showing up to protest when it comes to those mass deportations. So I think it's fair to say what we're really seeing is fault lines in this community about Donald Trump's first few months in office.
Helena, plenty more from you throughout the next few hours, but thanks so much.
Live in Miami in South Florida. You got the lucky gig there, Helena. Just tell us who you've been talking to and what their views are on the Trump presidency Mark II so far.
Regina, I think you might recognize where I am actually, because this is Cafe Versailles, arguably the most famous Cuban restaurant here in Miami. In 2023, when Donald Trump was arraigned in the classified documents trial, he came here afterwards and he rallied his supporters. So we have generally seen this place as a bit of bastion of support for Donald Trump, particularly among the Latino community. When I've been speaking to people here on that key issue of the economy and tariffs, people are saying that they're willing to give him a little bit more time, a wait-and-see approach. But immigration here really proving very interesting, because speaking to people here from the Venezuelan community, for example, they have told me that they are concerned about people being caught up in mass deportations, pointing to the case, for example, of 15Apr2025 Garcia and the end of temporary protected status. Now, I spoke to Noel Ginestra. He is a member of the Venezuelan Republicans. He told me that his own sister, he is concerned, could be deported. Take a listen to what he told me.